Hello, welcome to the podcast where I explain this app, Graphing Functions Through Windows, GeoGebra app here. I made this app in spirit of when my students did this assignment that I made, which was the graphing number patterns, where they had to take a expression in English and part math, but then they had to write it into a math expression, plot some points, input-output relationships, and then graph them and extend. I wanted them to extend the number pattern, which was in the directions here, but it became apparent to me after I looked at the assignment that my students didn't understand what I meant. This is typically what I saw when I did this, by the way. They did a good job with the math expression, like 2x squared, 2 times the number squared. And then they might have tried like 0, which they got out of 0. This is their x and our y. Then, my students for their domain and numbers, when they think of it, are just typically our whole numbers, counting numbers here. So they might have used these numbers, and they would have got out a 2, 2 squared is 4, they got out an 8, 3, 9, 18, and 4 is 1632. So they're scaling too. They're just going to probably go by ones. So when they put in a 0, they got out a 0. They put in a 1, they got out a 2. So they're good at plotting input-output pairs. Put in a 2, and they got out an 8. But then after that, they were done. So they left their assignment looking like this, where it doesn't help them understand the extension of our number patterns. So what I did was I created a GeoGebra app, and I'm going to put in my equation here, 2x squared. Okay, and when I hit enter, we can see my number patterns here. Now, I can make a window like the students had when I show this in my class. So if I use a Move Graphics view, I can change the scale here to maybe make this more like 10. Right, and move this here. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Now this is basically what we saw here, is the number pattern graph. It looks a lot like what I graphed right here, right? So this is basically what they see. Now, the h of x here is the curve that I have too, so that they can see the number pattern, the graph of 2x squared. So you can either hide it or show it. These little green circles in your algebra window can hide and show. So this is what the number pattern looks like. But what's cool about this app is these lines that I put right here, the left and the right, are lines that as I move, you can see that it creates a window in which we can see data. So what I have right now is my graph of 2x squared, and we're looking at a domain between -3 and 7. So pretty good interval concepts too when you change these around. But what I like about it is this is what the students graphed basically, right? But to see the number patterns extend, they can actually see as we move these sliders, these bars here, they can see the number pattern actually extend into the graph. So I like this so that students can understand that what they graph and the domain values they choose when we do just positive counting numbers, it's only part of the graph. And this app is a good illustrator of, as we open up our window, graph more points, they can see the number pattern. And what's cool about it is this will take anything. If we want to go linear, -3x plus 5, for instance, now we have a nice linear graph, and I can change the window value for whatever we want. But typically, again, if we just do positive inputs, this is all their graph is going to look like, and they need to know that they need to expand the number pattern. Okay, absolute value is just ABS in GeoGebra, and then we put our function of what we're taking in absolute values in parentheses. So the absolute value of x, for instance, would be this curve. My move tool here, I'm going to change my scale so it looks more like we want it to, right? But now as they graph just the positives, they might just see this going from 1 to 5, but now they can see that there's another part of the curve here. So kind of a cool app, change windows around. We can change the function into whatever we want, but it allows kids to understand that what they're putting in for their table and graph is not the whole number pattern and that they need to extend it. So that's what that app is for.